go through a few figures, a few slides. I'll introduce the directors and make one or two more announcements, and then we'll get on to the questions. Now, if we could put up the first slide, which is the earnings that were released yesterday. And as you can see, it was a good quarter. It wasn't quite as good a quarter as it looks, which I'll explain in a second, but really all of our businesses did very well. You should focus on operating earnings. Charlie's getting a head start here on the peanut brittle and fudge, so I'll catch up later. It was a very good. It was a benign quarter in insurance, but our other businesses, particularly our big businesses, did quite well. And I don't remember whether we've ever had operating earnings of more than almost $8 billion, but in any event, it was quite satisfactory. Now, we'll put up slide 2. The insurance earnings were helped a bit. They were still terrific without these factors, but they were helped a bit by the fact that the dollar was strong, and that reduces the liabilities we have outstanding in foreign currency. So if we have losses we're going to pay in the future, and they're payable in pounds or euros, and the dollar appreciates against those currencies, we get a small benefit from that. We also have it hurts us in other ways. We have so many different kinds of businesses, and then we own other earnings through Coca-Cola that operate around the world, that I really never know whether when the dollar goes up or down, whether it helps us or not. So I've never been able to figure it out. So we just sort of take it as it comes. But we do want to explain that to you, the insurance earnings. And then we had another item, which is kind of interesting. We've had a disagreement with Swiss Re about a life reinsurance contract. And that's the disagreement's probably lasted for well over a year. And that was settled in the first quarter. And as you can see, we showed a gain of $255 million pre-tax from settling this disagreement. But interestingly, Swiss Re showed a gain of $100 million also from settling the disagreement. So we are working out an arrangement with Swiss Re whether we'll get in an argument every quarter, and both report higher earnings when we settle it. It's magnificent what accounting can do. One real high point of the first quarter was the pickup, which I noted in the annual report about the gain in both the closure rate and the persistency rate at GEICO. These are hugely important factors. And if we'll put up the chart showing the gain of GEICO's auto policies, the strengths I mentioned in 2012 have not only continued in 2013, but the trend has become even stronger. And there's a lot of seasonal to policy gains. But as you can see, month by month, our gains in policies have very significantly improved over 2012. And again, it's because our closure ratio, in other words, the number of people that get a quote from us and then go on to buy a policy, that rate has improved very significantly this year. And with it, we also have had a gain in persistency, the people that renew the policies with us. And that's pure gold. A policy has a mathematical value to us of at least $1,500. So if we add 1 million policies in a year, and I'm hopeful we might do that this year, that's $1.5 billion of value that gets built into our intrinsic value, which does not show up on the income statement or balance sheet at all, but it does increase the value of GEICO versus what we carry it for. And I can't resist a little sales pitch on that, because this closure rate, which, like I say, is at incredible levels, means that when people go to our website or call us and get a quote, they find that they can save a lot of money. I mean, people love our little gecko, but they buy the policies because we save them money. And it just so happens that in the auditorium right near here, the exposition hall, we have a lot of very friendly people that will help you save money too. So I urge you, you can walk out anytime Charlie is talking and go and get a quote, and a very high percentage of you could save money by doing that. And that is in the Berkshire spirit, to save money at every opportunity. So I'm hoping you will check that out and that we will set a record for policy sold. And finally, our railroad this year is doing very well. You saw the earnings in the first quarter report if you've had a chance to look at that. And we've got some figures up that show our gain in car loadings in the first 17 weeks has been 3.8%, whereas the other four major Class 1 railroads in the United States have had a gain of 0.4%. That's significant money. We don't have the Canadian railroads here that operate in the United States. They both come down, Canadian National, Canadian Pacific. But this is representative of what's been happening. We've been helped by the fact that fortunately a lot of oil has been found very close to our railroad tracks. And what better place to find oil? And so we've been moving a lot of that, and it's worked. And we'll be moving a lot more the way things are going. And as a result of all this, we now, we'll put up the next slide, we're now the fifth most valuable company in the world. And that will change over time, but I hope it changes for the better. I'd like the business part of this meeting starts at around 3:30, and at that time we'll have the election of directors. Now we'll start the questioning in just 1 minute, but there were one or two announcements to make. We did not put it in the annual report because we hadn't firmed it up yet, but tomorrow at Borsheim's, our friend Ariel Singh will be available to play table tennis with any of you foolish enough to challenge her. I met Ariel when she was 9, and she became the youngest women's table tennis champion of the United States. And then last summer she went on to the Olympics, and at the Olympics she won her first 2 matches, and she won more games off the woman that became the eventual Olympic champion than any other participant in that event. So Ariel will be out there tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and if you're courageous, you'll show up with your paddle and end up looking like an idiot. One more introduction. I don't know whether we can get a spotlight on him or not, but Stan Lipsey retired this year as publisher of the Buffalo News, and as Charlie can attest as well as I, back in 1978, 79, 80, we had an enormous business problem in Buffalo News. We were locked in a competitive struggle, and we were not doing well, in part because we were operating under a tough judicial order for a while until it got reversed on appeal. And Stan gave up a wonderful life here in Omaha and asked no questions and for no pay, came up to Buffalo, and the Buffalo News would not have turned out to be the paper that's turned out to be, or produce the profits that have been produced for Berkshire without Stan Lipsey. It was announced a couple of days ago that we bought out the final 20% of Ishkar held by the family for about $2 billion. It's a transaction they're happy with, we're happy with. Matter of fact, if you saw Eitan Wertheimer dancing at Dancing with the Stars, they're you could have seen how happy he was. So we will now own 100% of ISCAR, but our relationship with the Wertheimer family will continue. It's been a sheer joy. The business has done terrifically. The people have behaved magnificently, and ISCAR will be part of Berkshire forever. So I want to thank Eitan and his family. And Eitan, are you here? Can you stand up and your family?